Good morning, good afternoon, good evening. I hope everybody's doing well. I hope everybody's doing like we are back with our third build of Diablo Immortal, and this time we're gonna go through the Wizzard solo PVE. It is an absolute amazing build. It is very sustainable and consistent. That's what I mean to say. And this is overall absolute good build if you run as a team or if you even decide to go solo. So before I speak any further, let's get into it. Remember, take care of yourself, drink enough water, and stay thirsty. Okay, so firstly, we are gonna go through the skills that is required for this build. It's a little bit different than your normal standard wizard build. It's a little bit confusing, but it is also a really good build. Then we are gonna jump over to the main gear and the secondary gear set, and then after that, we're just gonna focus on the gems, the attributes, and all of that kind of stuff that is gonna make this build the absolute perfectionist. So for the first skill set that you are going to be using, we are going to move to. So we're going to kick off with the skills. And what skills are we going to be using? The first skill that we're going to be using will be teleport. It teleports you forward for maximum of 3 charges. The second skill we are going to be using is Arcade Wind. Unleash a blast of wind in a direction, dealing a certain amount of damage and knocking back enemies. Charging longer increases range, knockback, distance, and damage up to 1680. Deals 50% increased damage to burning enemies. Then we're going to use Disintegrate. Channel a beam of pure energy in a direction, continuously dealing a certain amount of damage to all enemies caught in the beam, and causing them to take 2% increased damage for 1.5 seconds, stacking up to 5 times. Using Disintegrate slowly consumes its energy, which recover while Disintegrate is not in use. Then we're going to be using Magic Missile. Launches a magic missile of magic energy, dealing a certain amount of damage. And then the meteor is the last one. Summons an intense meteor that plummets from the sky, dealing a certain amount of damage and stunning all enemies in the impact area for 3 seconds. The ground is heats in Scorch, burning enemies for a certain amount of damage over 6 seconds. The reason why this is so good is because with Arcane Wind it is stacking with Meteor. This is why this build is absolute amazing. Now we are going to get to the main gear. For the main gear, we're going to kick it off with the chest, which is going to be Starcaller's Drapery. Your media rate is increased by 20%. Secondly, we're going to go over to the leggings, which is going to be Galebringer's Leggings. Arcane Wind damage is increased by 10%. Thirdly, we're going to head over to the main hand. With the main hand, we're going to use the Wind Shaper. Arcane Wind now summons a tornado that follows enemies and continuously damaging all enemies in its path. Then we're going to go over to the offhand, which is item number 4. It is going to be Unrepentant Gale. Maximum Arcane Wind charges is increased by 1. And then second last, we're going to go over to the headpiece, which is Lion's Resonant Wisdoms. Teleport now conquers a lightning cloud at your destination, dealing a certain amount of damage to all nearby enemies over 2.5 seconds. And then last but not least, we are going to go over to the shoulders, which is going to be Arcane Interfires. And it is Disintegrate will fire a strong instantaneous beam after a short delay. And now we are getting over to the secondary gear. The secondary gear that we're going to be using is going to be the same secondary gear that we used with the monk build. It is going to be Isotar imbued, and for all 6 items equipped, it's going to give you, each time you defeat an enemy, you have a 10% chance on gaining a soul orb for 12 seconds, which deals 577 damage when it passes through an enemy. Cannot gain a soul orb more often than once every 40 seconds. And then here is the set that we are going to be using. It is going to be the opened hands of Isatar. It's going to be the brute for the legs. The crown is going to be contained. The neck is going to be at rest. And then the 2 fingers is going to be enraged and undone. And there is the secondary gear set that we are going to be using with this build. Now we come to the part that has always been my favorite part, and that will be the legendary gems that we're going to be using for this build. So we're going to kick off with Berserker's Eye. It is absolutely amazing. Increase all damage you deal by 5.5%, but also increase damage you take, which is a win-win situation. Then we're going to switch over to Blood Soaked Jade. Increase all damage you deal by up to 8% while at full life, with a minimum bonus of 8.00 times 0.5 while at low life. So with the 8%, while you're at full life, you only get 8%, but while you're at low life, it times that with 0.5%, and it also increases your movement speed by 10%. Thirdly, we're going to get to Chained Death. Increase the damage range of your attack by 1.5% per target hit up to the maximum of 1.5 times 3% at 3 targets. Fourthly, we're going to go to Cutthroat's Grin. Gain 8% increased critical hit chance when attacking from behind. And then last but not least, we are going to go to Everlasting Torment. Your critical hits inflict agony, dealing 10% base damage plus 122 every second for 6 seconds. Each enemy cannot be affected by this more often than every 20 seconds. Oh, we are not done. We are going to go over to Fervent Fang. Each time you deal damage to an enemy, that enemy now takes 0.08% increased damage from your attacks, up to a maximum increased damage of 0.08 times 10%, and it stacks 10 times, which is absolutely amazing. Then we switch over to the last gem. This is the last gem. It is Seeing Bile. Your increased stacks have a 4% chance to poison the enemies, inflicting 25% base damage plus a certain amount of damage for every 6 seconds. This poison spread to nearby enemies if the victim dies. It cannot affect the same target more often than once every 20 seconds, which is absolutely amazing because it is like a built-in AoE poison bomb that you release to your enemies. And I know what you guys are thinking. You guys are thinking, oh, okay, yeah, it is all fun and well that we have the items, we have the gear sets, we have the skills that we're going to use, but what are the paragons and the attributes that we are going to need to focus on? So firstly, the attributes that we are going to be focusing on will be, firstly, it will be intelligence. Secondly, it will be fortitude. Thirdly, it will be vitality. Then at the bottom, 4th and 5th, it will be willpower and strength. And for the paragon, this is the same paragon as with the monk, but it is just in reverse. So firstly, you are going to focus on survivor, and then after that you are going to be focusing on vanquisher, for the HP vanquisher. And then that is the build. Here is a picture of what the final build looks like with the gems, with the main gear and the secondary gear. Guys, I hope you enjoyed this one. I will see you in the next one.